What's up guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the brand new MacBook Pro M3 Max and stacking up against my Mac Studio with the M1 Max. And the results were not what I expected. I'll show you the base model, the model I'd recommend getting, as well as the maxed out version as well. And at the end, we'll be showing the overall winner and whether I'm going to be upgrading or not. And if you're new here, my name is Austin Brady. I make videos about filmmaking, tech, and social media. I'm glad you're here. Let's get into it. Okay, so starting out with our 14-inch MacBook Pro, this is the bare minimum I'd recommend. This comes in at $2,000 USD, and you're gonna have the M3 chip, 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16-core neural engine. That'll be the same across the board. What I did upgrade from the base was a little bit more memory. We're at 16, a little bit more storage. We're at a terabyte. I really feel like for videographers specifically, you can't really get away with anything less than 16, especially with Premiere Pro or DaVinci, these heavy video editors. Then you have a terabyte of storage. If you're doing video or anything creative, that fills up very quickly. And then that's pretty much it. Obviously, this is gonna have the lowest wattage for the power adapter and only 2 ports, but you can find dongles, you can make it work. And it's gonna be a lot less than these other ones are gonna be. So that's the minimum. Moving on to the 16-inch MacBook Pro. This is what I would recommend if I was going to have a friend or maybe a family member come to me and ask, hey, I want the MacBook Pro, which one would I get? Really, the 14-inch is great too. I personally love the bigger screen. I'll always recommend a bigger screen. We have the M3 Max chip because you're just gonna wanna have as much power as possible for the price. So 14-core CPU, 30-core GPU, 16-core neural engine, 36 gigabytes of memory. Like I said before, 16 is the bare minimum, but the more memory you have, the better. Terabyte of storage. If you need more, buy extra on the side. This comes obviously with the faster wattage, 3 USB ports instead of just 2, and then the HDMI and the SD card slot. So that's recommended. And then if you're going maxed out, this is just for fun. You're looking at over $7,200, 16 inches, the Max chip. You're having ridiculous GPU, CPU. Unified memory is just unreal. I don't even need that. I have 64 in my Mac Studio. These are people who are really pushing their computers. No one should buy more storage from Apple. You should just buy as minimum as you can and then getting external just because it's so expensive to buy it through Apple. So that's maxed out. You're not gonna wanna buy this one, but it's just fun for comparison. So now looking at a Pro and my Studio, so we brought the recommended one over from the other slide to kind of give you what I would recommend. And then this is going to be the best comparison to my Mac Studio. It has the M3 Max chip, 16-core CPU, 40-core GPU. Obviously, that's significantly more than my Mac Studio. These are the exact specs that I purchased. Better CPU, GPU performance, same neural engine, 64 gigabytes of memory. We got the same there, and 2 terabytes of storage. I went with 2 just because I fill stuff up so quickly. Don't know if I would do that again, but that's what I did at the time. Something interesting, maybe type in the comments, let me know what this means. I'm not sure exactly. I'm assuming bandwidth just means how much that memory can be pulling at once. I don't know if it's thermals or what affects that, but you can go up to 400 gigabytes of memory bandwidth here versus 100. So even if you have the same memory, I'm not sure if it's running at the same capacity. Although with the new 3 nanometer chips, let me know in the comments. I'm not super familiar with that, but that was an interesting comparison. This is huge, especially for creatives. 3 USB-C ports versus 6 USB-C ports on the Mac Studio, and 2 USB-A for those that still have USB-A ports, which I do on some of my hard drives, and then 10 gigabytes of Ethernet. I didn't care about it, didn't even really know what it was until more recently. Within the last year, I've been working over at Film Lab, and we have Ethernet that we can plug into, and I'm one of the few people who can actually use that because I have that connection. So this is obviously 3100 or 3200 for the Mac Studio, but you do have to buy a monitor, which you could buy the Studio Display from Apple, which is like 1600 plus. It's a very expensive display, or find something a lot more affordable in like the $400, $500, $600 range. I'm sure you guys have suggestions, drop them in the comments. So this is not the end price, but this is for the actual powerhouse, the computer itself. That's what we're looking at. With the MacBook Pro, you have a beautiful display, FaceTime camera, speakers, everything's included. More portable, obviously. We have this beautiful new black colorway, the black space black, and then you're walking out of the door at 4600 with tax and everything added on top of that. I mean, it's gonna be more powerful than the Mac Studio, and you're gonna pay more if you're getting the Studio Display to get this whole package set up. It just depends on what you want. Ideally, either you're getting this one and you're getting a cheap monitor, so you're staying underneath this, and you have more ports, better memory bandwidth, got the same memory and storage, and you only have a little bit less on the CPU. And I've had no issues with my processor. Like, this was wicked fast when it came out, and that was like 18 months to 2 years ago, I think, even less than that, which is crazy. You also have 10 gigabytes of Ethernet, which is huge. So if this is valuable to you and you love a desk setup, then Mac Studio, even the M1 Max, would be insane. And there also is a new M2 Max option too. You can look at that. But if you're leaning more towards the Pro option, and you want a beautiful display and you have everything going, you could get this as a better comparison to this one. But still, that recommended one is $3,500. It's barely over the price of this without the display, and you can get a really good chip, really good memory. Obviously not as much as I have here, but still very, very comparable. Less storage, but you can always buy storage later. And then you have, maybe not the best on USB-C ports or bandwidth, but you can find ways to make the ports work. Okay, and so now for the question of whether I'm upgrading or not. I've wanted a laptop for so long. I've been traveling more recently. I went to Iceland, which was super cool, and I couldn't bring my studio with me. I also, now at Film Lab, I'm traveling, 2-3 times a week up to a studio. And so I have to unplug this and have a separate display there I plug into, and it's kind of a hassle. It'd be a lot more convenient if I could just have like a MacBook Pro, some type of laptop I could edit on the go with me. But at the end of the day, if I was to have that, I prefer a mouse, so I'd probably have a mouse with it, and I'd want a bigger display, so I'd plug in the display to it, and then might as well just get the keyboard. And at that point, you basically have bulkier size with the MacBook Pro. So I'm probably gonna have to pass on this one. I'll get a MacBook Pro eventually and experience what that's like. But for now, because of my editing needs, I need a stationary setup. I do a lot of video editing, a lot of photography editing, thumbnail creation, that sort of thing. And so the stationary setup's better. For those that are a little bit more, creative on the go, or they need that aspect, that portability, that a MacBook Pro is amazing. The recommended version, you could even go with just the bare minimum version. That would be a really good option for you, depending on what type of creative things you do. So that kind of wraps up the comparison between the MacBook Pro and the Mac Studio. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.